Over 70 years of Lionel Richie, every lost romance becomes a bitter chapter in life's tragedy to the public. Every song he sings as the king of love ballads makes millions under the stage lights of hearts shake. However, his private life has strayed there through meetings, separations, and unresolved feelings. Lionel Richie loved and trusted several marriages, only to watch them fail collapse one by one. Brenda Harvey, his first wife, had Lionel was terrified by unbridled fury and domestic violence. Diane Alexander orchestrated Lionel's divorce, bringing in $20 million together with his final faith. A woman entered Lionel Richie's life late, gently. Too many storms had battered his heart. Her presence made him realize love could change. Greater maturity, depth, and knowledge. Who was she? Why did the greatest love songwriter have to walk nearly a lifetime to find his heart? Lionel at Tuskegee University, Richie met Brenda Harvey. His love story began. That moment Lionel, a teenage musician, played tennis for a scholarship and sang in the band Commodores. Brenda, a kind social studies student, work was a bright spot in his early struggles. They became the campus couple's secret hand-holding after courses, sitting together as Lionel sang and dreamed of a common future, pure, unglamorous affection. Just two teens believing everything would be overcome together. However, like many ballads, he would subsequently write the narrative ended incompletely. Just songs, memories, and heart that learned to love after great loss. October 18, 1975, they married, vowing to be together no matter what life brought. Early on, their existence seemed serene and unaffected by storms. Brenda was his quiet support while the Commodores rose to stardom. Lionel could go on extensive tours while she managed everything at home. She patiently waited, wrote letters, and called, believing his success was theirs, though they had no biological children. Their love was strong enough to fill the vacuum. Artists must tolerate solitude. By the early 1980s, Lionel's career, however, their modest family was still a unique example of bliss, the unpredictable entertainment world. Public affection increased when they adopted Nicole Camille, Lionel's bandmate's young daughter. Nicole took center stage of family, which brought them closer than ever. Brenda adored Nicole. She looks after every meal and night. Lionel regarded them both. His heart overflowed. He said Nicole was the one guardian angel of their marriage, the reason they kept trying as life steadily separated them. When Nicole at 9, Lionel and Brenda became her legal parents, finishing a gorgeous family photo. Outsiders thought so. A successful star, loyal wife, and loving home. But behind that calm exterior, silent fissures formed. Lionel became obsessed with his massive solo career, million-selling records, numerous tours, brilliant stage lighting. Brenda stayed behind, confronting loneliness. She tried to hang on. Understood, yet their distance quietly grew. And what was inevitable, Lionel changed as he was dragged into a lavish life he had never known. Then Diane Alexander, the young, gorgeous 1986 video dancer, arrived on the ceiling. Something when Lionel saw Diane, his eyes altered. Brenda felt, but didn't believe. The moment Brenda discovered the truth, there was no going back. One June night in 1988, everything broke. Brenda traveled to Diane's Beverly Hills residence at 3 a.m. She suspected her husband was there. She knocked and saw her worst fear as the door opened, Lionel with woman. Rage, pain, and despair rose. Screams, jealously driven, furniture smashing. According to several sources, Brenda, in a fit of rage, kicked Lionel in the stomach. The conflict escalated fast, requiring police intervention. They came in time to save Diane from Brenda's wrath. Brenda was done that night. Arrested for several major crimes: assault, trespassing, vandalism, resisting arrest, and disturbing peace. The marriage was over when she was freed on bail the next morning. Saving. Lionel admitted he had hurt the lady he loved, calling it the saddest day of the marriage to him most to experience agony. In August, after nearly 18 years together, 1993, the court declared their divorce due to irreconcilability. Differences. Lionel's longest marriage ended quietly and painfully. Lionel claimed Brenda assaulted him after discovering the affair during the divorce, that a nearly two-decade partnership ended in vitriol, leaving wounds and breakdown. A sluggish healer. Soon after, Lionel Richie married Diane Alexander on December 21, 1995, the woman who broke his first marriage. When Lionel Richie met Diane Alexander at the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics, he stood singing all night under the California sun at the closing ceremony that he saw Diane, a young dancer with long hair and a bright smile that like a flash in the crowd. He hardly remembered her face, then only a youthful, energetic vibe. They finally met 2 years later. Diane was picked for the 1986 music video Dancing on the Ceiling. Diane danced with Lionel on the colorful upside-down set, staring longer than required that a peculiar tremor came over him, like returning to a boyhood he thought he had lost. Young, seductive, she demanded nothing. But his deep affection, Lionel was devoured. He wrote Diane handwritten notes, calling her an inspiration. He slowly lost his previous house with Brenda. He recognized his error, but could not stop. Love was too strong and burning to control. Miles Brockman Richie was born in 1994. Lionel witnessed a new side in his first biological son. Born May 27, that future becomes apparent. Diane held the baby in hospital. She cried with joy, assuming they would finally have a family. Lionel pledged to divorce and remarry. He divorced Brenda in 1993 and acted quickly. Today, December 21, they married lavishly in Los Angeles in 1995. The early marriage years were dreamy sweet. Sophia Richie arrived in 1998. August 24 completes the tiny family. Lionel spoiled Diane. Glittering diamond jewelry, European trips, opulent houses. Diane, once an ordinary dancer, became the second Mrs. Richie, living in an upper-class environment she had barely dared to enter to dream of. They attended events together. Lionel boasted introducing his lovely young wife. Miles and Sophia were encircled by love, gorgeous children with fatherly eyes. So delighted was Diane that she occasionally wondered if everything was genuine. Eventually, the dream faded. While traveling and performing nightly, Lionel continued his profession. Diane, with 2 young children, stayed home alone. She felt lonely in the midst of the pleasure of lengthy evenings waiting for her husband, only receiving hasty calls. They argued more often, small conflicts growing far apart. Diane grew used to limitless living, expensive clothes, and luxury spas. Cosmetic surgery, while Lionel was tired of financial and mental stress. Past passion was now habitual, frigid embraces, stinging words. Lionel married Diane in 2004. Another love chapter ended with divorce. Process of divorce continued until 2004, causing financial ruin. Diane detailed all she needed to live her old life. $300,000 USD every month, $20,000 for cosmetic surgery, tens of thousands for personal care, clothes. She wanted to keep Lionel's universe, even though the love was gone, and Lionel was sad over losing his wife and facing the repercussions of himself. After becoming the world's most romantic man, he realized he had chance. Finally, to keep Miles and Sophia happy, the news reported that he settled for $20 million US, a huge sum, the costliest divorce in Hollywood at the time. Diane preserved some of the mansion assets and lived partially luxuriously. In subsequent years, Lionel Richie's personal life remained rumored. Nobody knew the truth behind it. Lionel Richie and the woman spent an evening together. Witnesses said that alongside him seems almost isolated. Their discretion was absolute. However, their eyes, smiles, and chats conveyed all. They spoke throughout the meal. Teased and flirted with a real, human emotion that needs no expression, just closeness. In addition, a romance between Lionel Richie and composer Cynthia Wilde was also rumored. However, this relationship's date, duration, and depth are blank, like many other foggy chapters in his life. Romantic life. Some loves are brief melodies. Some survive for years but die. Silence. One question recurs in this web of relationships. Whose true love life of Lionel Richie? His forthright statement to People magazine that despite many hurts, breakups, and failures, always romantic, he is. Lionel said, "I have experienced enjoyment and suffering in equal proportion, and that each relationship taught something." Lionel Richie fell in love in 2014, when many thought his heart was exhausted after so many upheavals. Once more, with a woman over 40 years younger than him, a detail that once raised popular doubt. Ironically, this association became one of his gentlest love stories after lasting longer than anything else. Lisa Parigi and Lionel Richie met at a 2014 Los Angeles party. Common friends host a little dinner gathering. Lisa lived mostly in Switzerland and visited California for a few days. However, they sat and spoke with soft music and wine. Known each other for years. The Swiss-Chinese Caribbean young woman speaks 4 languages. Multilingual, intelligent, and energetic, made Lionel, a 60-year-old guy. He suddenly felt lighter after 2 disastrous marriages. He smiled more, told old stories, and for the first time in a while, felt less lonely. Crowd. Lisa said their first discussion went all night, like the two knew each other forever. They started dating soon after that terrible night. Geographic distance didn't stop 2 people who wanted to be together. Lisa often flew to America. Lionel flew to Europe to visit her between tours. Overnight calls, long messages, secret excursions. Paris and Amsterdam happened without media coverage. Lisa restored his peace, which he thought was lost forever. She stayed at his side, listened, and made him laugh without demanding attention or luxury. Loud on tired days. Lionel Richie shows his tenderness in interviews when discussing his partner. He recounts his Lisa feelings is natural and sincere from the start. He complimented her beauty and underlines that Lisa's brilliance, serenity, and ability to help him remain steadfast in chaos tie him to high-stress entertainment industry. Lisa first appeared publicly in 2017 beside him at the Kennedy Center Honors in Washington, standing naturally with Lionel's kids. In 2019, talking to individuals, Lionel Richie stated Lisa Parigi provides him a break after all the ups and downs. That sense of safety, which people want more as they age. She calms everything at a time of doubt and fatigue, like a serene harbor after a lengthy journey. That year, they met Pope Francis at Vatican. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame honored him in 2022. Lionel gazed into the camera and named Lisa My Heart before millions at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Viewers. Lionel Richie and Lisa Parigi together at important events like the Grammys and Breakthrough Prize ceremony. Lisa is more than Lionel Richie's girlfriend. Born in Switzerland, she is a wealthy businesswoman. Caribbean Chinese, 4-language speaker who worked in the IT industry before creating Estate Collection and Glow Up Beauty. Lisa is Lionel's quietest companion and supporter. Theon, who is moved every time she hears him sing Stuck on You, as if her heart were shaking for the first time. Among parties, red carpets, and global travel, Lionel Richie, Lisa Parigi found an ordinary relationship. Sylvester, their dog. Sylvester appears to be more than a pet. Genuine family member. Dogs have Instagram accounts. Is frequently on Paris's personal page and hilariously introduced as the house's owner. Quite small expressiveness enough to convey Sylvester's importance to both of them. Social media photos show Parigi is close to Sophia Richie. They share a natural warmth as if there were no generational gaps or difficult boundaries that blended family. Perry regularly joins Sophia on key times to celebrate youth and happiness with her. On Sophia's birthday in August 2022, Parigi tweeted a photo with Lionel and Sophia with meaningful captions. Words. She said Sophia's grin never fails to brighten a room and promised that she would always celebrate her birthday. These weren't polite forms, but lasting bonds and friendship. Parigi continued a few months later to support Sophia as she prepares for her wedding. From bachelorette party to April 2023 wedding in southern France, she joined the Richie family in delight. In addition to Sophia Parigi, close to Nicole Richie and Miles Brockman attending parties, anniversaries, and daily life moments. Lisa and Lionel never married. After 2 terrible divorces, one with Brenda spanning nearly 2 decades and one with expensive and problematic with Diane, he admits to being reluctant to sign marriage papers again. He still believes in eternal love, but won't risk it again. This is respected by Lisa. She said she doesn't need a ring to establish love, and Lionel owes me nothing. They live together without legal restrictions, but with affection. After his memoir was published in 2025, he gave an emotional interview. Truly, Lionel Richie revealed his difficult love journey more than ever. He was 76 and his voice was warm, his eyes gleaming as he spoke of Lisa Parigi, his partner of almost a decade. No one wants to remember my 2 painful marriages. Today, Lisa is truly the one I adore most. He said his voice trembled like a slow ballad that he looked out, remembering Brenda Harvey, his college girlfriend and first wife, who accompanied him during the darkest years. While strong, Brenda was too hot-tempered. Beautiful years, but rage and disputes destroyed everything. I adored her youthfully, extreme and rash. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to keep us together. He then mentioned Diane Alexander, whom he traded everything. Diane, her youth and seduction, but I understood she liked my fame and wealth more than my actual self. Miles and Sophia are great kids. But that marriage was like a ceiling dance, initially stunning, sinking into cold reality. Not only was it expensive financially, but in spirit. His smile was gentle when he turned to Lisa. And Lisa, she's very different. Lisa is caring and loves me deeply, not for fame or fortune. She makes me feel protected at this age. Everything might harden me. Lisa is smart, independent, and always there for me besides genuine love. For the first time, Richie confessed he's not compelled to maintain relationships. With Lisa, I needn't prove anything. He responded, I may age, be silent, she's still there. He smiled sadly. I searched my whole life for something, but only found it near the end. The end of Lionel Richie whispered a sentence throughout the interview. He prioritizes himself over others. If love calms the heart, Lisa is where I relax longest. He nodded in acceptance of a late invitation. Fact that he loves the woman who arrived when he had nothing left to show save for a chipped, yet loving heart. Lionel Richie's fatherhood has been as difficult as his brilliant career. Lionel Richie Sr., his father, taught him much. However, his children retained him. Standing through darkness. Miles' moment is plain to him. Was born while Nicole was alive. He instantly realized everything had changed. He was no longer a global superstar, but the center of a family whose every decision mattered, implications beyond fame. Though free-spirited, Lionel Richie's fatherly discipline has always been present. Always rigorous, yet not harsh, maintaining the delicate balance between affection and boundaries, especially while raising children in a fashionable environment world of temptation. He said his kids think scaring dad to death is important. He said they do it well. He jokes about becoming a self-deprecating father in response, prevent fame from stealing his kids. In his children's personal lives, Lionel always retreats. He said fathers cannot live for their children, he speaks up about their careers. He gave Sophia a sounding wish. I wish you many failures because in his view success in the entertainment industry is standing up, not how many times one is told yes after every no. After Nicole Richie was born, fatherhood began. In 1981, Lionel and Brenda Harvey embraced her as a child. From a disadvantaged family. Nicole was adopted at 9. Lionel hailed her a gift from heaven and promised to stay. That passion went into 1980's IXS Ballerina Girl, intended for Nicole not to win a fatherly promise to always defend his daughter's weak heart. When Nicole debuted with The Simple Life in 2003, celebrity caused scandals, accidents, and addiction. As everything went haywire, returning home, she chose rehabilitation. Lionel reflected on his journey, parenting his child with a weary but proud smile, calling it a war and himself a survivor. After Nicole recovered to become a best-selling author, fashion star, and House of Harrow founder. That was Lionel Richie's last moment respond that despite faults and hardship, he is a good father hadn't failed. Miles Brockman, Richie Lionel's kid with Diane Alexander, grew up quieter up there. Born May 27, 1994, Miles lived with his mother after his parents divorced when he was 9. He was upfront, stated that he was raised by his mother away from his sister Nicole's fame, that Miles's childhood was quieter yet difficult. Miles described himself as a bashful child who watched the world from the background, that he risked leaving UCA to study fashion instead of accountancy, essential choice. Miles was not on the New York Fashion Week runway in 2018, only exhibiting a collection, but claiming identity. He sought recognition for himself, not his circumstances, Richie's surname on his shoulders. But in 2019, Miles Richie emerged in unwelcome headlines. An event involving an alleged bomb threat at Heathrow Airport tarnished his reputation. Youthful voyage. Though officials never revealed his identity, rumors and reports tarnished Miles. This moment proved that despite being born into the spotlight, paved the way for privileged kids' adulthood. Never smooth. Sometimes self-discovery hurts more than outsiders think. Finally, Miles Davis accepted. Warning: a slow, heavy stop for a mistake. Though not a criminal record, it reminded him that family and fame never let mistakes to ignore. Miles learned early on that growing up was unpleasant but necessary. Like a scar, lifelong memories are required. Sophia Richie, Lionel's youngest daughter, entered a more illuminated world. LA born August 24, 1998 LA. Sophia was used to red carpet since age 10, walked with father and sister at ASCAP Awards. From then on, the blonde female with our served smile appeared destined for a life of admiration. Sophia grew up at fashion, film, and entertainment events. She learned to sing and play the piano with her father. His voice once planet melted. Sophia ultimately selected another path. Well, she understood evident she was Lionel Richie's daughter. That drove her to improve to be recognized as an autonomous person, not a child, contracting to model at 15. Sophia rapidly built her home. Fashion ambassadorships, prestige magazines, and collaboration collections followed, the breath itself. She appeared on camera and tried her hand at design, silently displaying her attractiveness in both appearance and in thoughtfulness and professionalism. Sophia persisted in the storm that carried her father's simple advice. Enjoy, give 1000%, and lived totally in every moment. Maybe that balance kept her from being swept away by love. It was often discussed. A brief connection with Justin Bieber to a loud romance with Scott Dick. These placed Sophie in the center of public storms that harshly criticized youth. In April, Sophia engaged Elliot Grange, who brought her, in 2022, in Uncommon Calm. Lionel felt very secure that he didn't need to inquire or doubt, because he'd known Elliot since he was a boy. And during the spectacular Southern French wedding on April 22, 2023, Lionel's heartfelt words as he carried his daughter down the aisle, "My daughter made the world fall," quiet with emotion. Sophia adopted a new role over time. May 20th, in 2024, she had her first daughter, Eloise. Lionel, now grandfather, showed up quickly. Sophia stated seeing her father love his grandchild was sweet, sensation so magnificent it was impossible to name, like life had ended that reopened in new form. Lionel Richie's life is a glorious trip that laced with visible fissures. He experienced youth love, marriages ruined, blunders with eternal regret, even moments of loneliness during his greatest triumph. Finally, what matters isn't how many times he fell, but that he rose, loved, and believing in people and music to save himself. Looking at Lionel Richie, does success compensate for personal losses? Does love need the right person or the right time? If you hurt others, do you still have it? Richie offers no possibility to live kinder in the second half of life. Complete answers. He leaves only songs, stories, and a heart that has suffered too much but never gives up. This story is over. Thank you for reading. Made you stop, think about love, family, and yourself. Subscribe to the channel to follow stories of illuminated and illuminated lives. Darkness, because listening to someone else's life can help us learn to progress in our